In lesson 23, we are going to continue practicing dividing multi-digit numbers using the standard algorithm. The problem we will be working with today is 6,247 divided by 29. The steps that we're going to use are the same, so they are up there and we're just going to go down the list. So first, step one is we want to identify the whole and the divisor. Our whole is our total amount of jelly beans that we're dividing by our divisor, or groups of 29. Within this, you want to start thinking about your estimates, and in doing this, you're going to want to round your divisor and find its multiples. My divisor is 29. It is closest to 30, so I'm going to round my divisor to 30. And then I'm going to find the multiples of my rounded divisor that I'm going to use later on to help me with my long division. So 30 times 2 is 60. Next multiple, 30 times 3 is 90. 30 times 4 is 120. 30 times 5 is 150. And I'm going to stop here, and if I need to continue later on, I can. Okay, so step 2 is we want to write our standard algorithm. So I'll draw my division sign, and underneath the division sign we write our whole, which is 6,000, 247, and that is divided by 29, and my divisor goes on the outside. So our standard algorithm is read backwards, so 6,247 divided by 29. And now we're going to start using estimation to solve. And I created a little section here to show my work with my estimates. So step 3 is we want to decompose this whole number to the first place value. So we're going to start here with 6,000s. And we ask ourselves, step 4, can we divide the decomposition, or 6,000s, by our divisor, which is 29? And the answer is no, I can't divide 6 by 29 without going into decimals. So I answered no, so I'm going to move to the next place value and ask myself the question again. So I've moved on to 62 hundreds, and I'm going to represent hundreds with an H here. 62 hundreds, can I divide that by 29? And now I'm going to start thinking about my rounded divisor and its multiple. So looking at 30 and 60, is 62 close to any of the multiples? And I notice right away that it's close to 60. So I'm just going to use that as an estimation, and I'm going to rename 62 hundreds as 60 hundreds. And I'm going to divide that by my rounded divisor, which is 30. I'm going to say, okay, so I have 60 hundreds, and divided by 30, that's going to equal 2 hundreds. And remember, it's hundreds. It's very important that you name your estimation, because that helps you know where you put it in your standard algorithm. So now we move on to step 6, where we check our estimate. So I will put my 2 in the hundreds place. So I record, now I multiply, which is 2 times 29, and I'll check, do my work down here. So 29 multiplied by 2. So we have 2 times 9 is 18. Leave the 8, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And remember that this is hundreds, so I have 58 hundreds because my 2 is in the hundreds place. So I would record that, because the next step is to subtract. So I would subtract 58 hundreds from the 62 hundreds for my original problem. And right now I want to ask myself, do I have too many groups? And when you're asking yourself that, you're really asking, did I overestimate? Can I take 58 out of 62, or can I do 62 minus 58? And the answer here is yes, I can do that. So no, I didn't make too many groups. Now I want to do my subtraction. We'll take our 6 and make a 5 and carry that 10 over to make 12. So 12 minus 8 is 4. And then 5 minus 5 is 0. And now I ask myself, can I make another group out of this 4? I cannot make another group of 29 out of this 4, so I know that my estimation was correct in 2. If I could make another group, I would need to change my estimation to fit. Step 7 is you just repeat steps 3 through 4 until you are done. So next I want to move on to my tens place, so I'm going to drop down and create my tens, decompose to the 10. So I have 44 tens. And I'm looking up and seeing if I can divide this new 44 tens by my rounded divisor, creating an estimate. 60 is too many, so I don't necessarily want to round up to 60, but I could round down to 30, so we can try that out. So I'm going to round my 44 tens to 30 tens, and I'm going to divide that by my rounded decimal just to make it easy and get my estimate. So I have 30 tens divided by 30, which would be equal to 110. Now I want to check my estimate, so I'm going to record my 1 in the tens place. Then I multiply 1 times 29, which is easy, and then we subtract. So I have 44 minus 29. And then I do my subtraction. So my 4 becomes a 3, 4 becomes 14, which leaves me with 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. Now I ask myself, first I would have asked myself, could I take 29 from 44? Yes. Now I ask myself, can I make another group of 29 out of 15? No, so I know that my estimate was correct. And finally, we're going to decompose to the ones, so we drop down my 7, and we have 157 ones. I'm going to erase this for some room. So I have 157 ones, and I'm going to ask myself, is this 157 close to any of these multiples of my divisor? And I see here that it is close to the 150, so I'm going to round it to 150 for my estimate. So 150 ones divided by my rounded divisor, which is 30. And so I have 150 divided by 30, and I know that this is 30 times 1, 30 times 2, 30 times 3, 30 times 4, 30 times 5. So there's 5 30s in 150. So this is 5 ones. And so I will record this estimation in order to check it above the ones in my algorithm. So I record, then I multiply, which is 29 times 5. So 5 times 9 is 45. Record the 5, carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. And now I subtract. And I will ask myself at this point, can I do this subtraction? Did I make too many groups? I can do 157 minus 145, so I don't have too many groups. Subtraction, 7 minus 5 is 2. 5 minus 4 is 1. And now I can ask myself, can I make another group? Can I make another group of 29 out of 12? The answer is no. I don't have anything else to carry down, so I know that this is my remainder. So my answer would be 215 with a remainder of 12. And finally, I want to check my answer. So step 8, we're going to multiply our quotient by our divisor and add our remainder. So we have 215, our quotient, multiplied by our divisor 29, and we add 12 from our remainder. I like to do multiplication up and down, so I'm going to rewrite my multiplication sentence. So 215 multiplied by 29. So 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 1 plus 4 is 13. And then 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Then I move to my 2, but it's not 2, it's tens. 2 tens, so I need to show that with that 0. And then cross off my carries. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And then 2 times 2 is 4. And then I add them all together. So 5, 3, 12, and 6. And then I take that number, 6,235, and I add my remainder of 12, making sure that I'm lining up my numbers. And I have 5 and 2 is 7, 3 and 1 is 4, 2 and 6. And I check my answer and see if 6247 or 6,247 matches my original whole. It does, so I did my long division correctly.